Yes, we're ready to start streaming, I believe, after 2 weeks. Looking for that 100.
Tony Caravan.
You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, and not what you don't. Quality, quantity, and variety.
ROCKFLUX.
Let's get this show on the road.
You betcha. That's right, folks. I'm back after 2 weeks. What a long, strange trip it's been. And it's even kind of comical looking at myself. I actually have a scruffy beard, which I shaved most of it off, but the camera's not picking it up. I'm finished the book, Then What, which doesn't look like that, which is on the screen right now. Rather, it looks like this. This is the printout of the cover. So you see we went a long way from where we were. And a quick look at the back cover, something along that line. Some images from some of our title cards. But this is the book. It's available on Kindle right now, but I would hold off because you got to get the print version. The print version is still in review. So I guess I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they're actually going to approve it somehow. It's crazy, man. I'm telling you, I slaved over this thing. I really did. I slaved over it, and the content inside of it is not going to let you down. Trust me. It's incredible. And
you're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
And this is no longer going to be called the morning show. It's going to be ROCKFLUX, Tony Caravan Live, for reasons of... in fact, I still have the cereal box back there. You could see in the background, and the morning show mug from the old show. But I decided, I think this is the ROCKFLUX YouTube channel, and we're going to be getting into ROCKFLUX topics. And I talk about that in my book.
Channel check. Left channel. Left channel.
I just got to make sure everything's working. It's like I just wanted to put up my chat. And the title of the show is Tony Caravan Live 9/21/21. So we got double 21s. And I think we might call this ROCKFLUX Live. So that might be better. ROCKFLUX Live. I'm just going to change that right this second. So the title of the show is Back in the Saddle Again, and I'm back in the saddle again. That was one of those songs I played that time that got one of my shows like kicked off the air. Of course, I've got the Game Over hat. And the Then What hoodie over there, still having trouble dealing with backer. And you can get, and I've got the Then What shirt on, actually. You can see if you look closely. And so Then What is the new book. It is completed. It hasn't made its rounds everywhere. And I wouldn't call it controversial, but I think it's one of my better books. It's a definite companion piece to the book here in the background, which is, I didn't want to move myself, to Codex. So maybe I'll just shrink down to Then What. We'll just keep that up here, for the time being. I believe I have a copy of Then What somewhere, and let me see if I do. And replace something else. Yeah, I have a Then What. Let's see if if I put the cover of the book in here, if I was smart enough to do that. Just bear with me. This is nothing new for this show. I've got to get like my broadcast legs back because it's kind of freaky. It's just weird having not done this. And the thing about it is, it's really only been about 2 weeks. It's been exactly 2 weeks, to tell you the truth. So someone say, how could you write a book in 2 weeks? Well, I had most of it. I was putting it together based on these shows. And I can't find what I'm looking for. So it's, excuse me, we'll just, back to the old clearing of the throat. And I've got my Kona blend coffee in the, if I can get it out through this microphone here. The ROCKFLUX mug. The official ROCKFLUX mug that you could find at TonyCaravanLive.com and ROCKFLUX.com. It was pretty good coffee. I put a little bit of nutmeg in it just to experiment, and I think that was a mistake, but I didn't put much. And my rock and roll guitar seems to be the microphone was a little bit loose. Okay, so here I am back in the saddle again, as I said. So what are we really going to talk about? Now that the Then What book is done, and you can see I even have the spine on there, as they call it. And this was the artwork. I had a heck of a time doing this thing. I mean, it was just utter. It was like every day, like today, I got up at 3:33. I had to shave some of the growth off. It's like my writer's thing. I just grow a beard when I'm writing. Don't shave, get up early in the morning. But it's the same as this show. So what I did was I would get up 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever, any time, and, early. I wasn't drinking coffee or anything, so it was like 2 weeks without coffee, caffeine of any kind, just having some oatmeal, a little bit of breakfast, and getting right into the writing mode. And I would write for about 4 hours, maybe a slight break. And then on certain days, I would go back and maybe write for another hour or two. So it was pretty much a full-time job. I was writing. I wrote every day, 7 days a week for the past 2 weeks. That's how long it took to get it down. And of course, like I said before, I was working all along the previous 250 nonstop shows that we did. I was working, along my book ideas little notebook here, which I keep, and in this thing has, all kinds of crazy stuff in here. I don't know if I could just pick you could see the scribblings on there, barely. But that was it. So working from the book ideas, I had the concept of the cover, that I designed originally, the Then What that's for the T-shirts, which couldn't have this spatial background, and I've got the sun there. So I designed that, and then I just was writing. There's a lot of graphics, a lot of images in this thing, a lot of photos. There's autobiographical stuff. I even wrote a short story, which is like a horror story, which is basically set in this house, which is interesting. And towards the end, I included some of the title cards from some of the better shows, because originally I wanted to do a poster or something with those, and I decided against that. And so I just thought, but I wanted to include them because I really like them. So yeah, it's good to be back. I don't know what else to say other than everything is wrong, and then what? And the other thing that I do need to put up here, which while I'm thinking about it, make sure I don't have an old link to it. Everything game over. You don't know. You don't know what you don't know. Let's get that up here. Don't know. There we go. And all of these themes remained in the book. So it's kind of a crowded screen right now, but you know, that's kind of how we roll, so to speak. But if you haven't gotten Codex, and I know most of you haven't, and it's still back there, I recommend you get it because it's the companion piece for this book. It definitely will be the companion piece. And this book refers a little bit to Codex every now and then, though both books are stand alone. All right. But I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. Kindle has approved it, and I'm just waiting for the approval for the print version. And that way I can get some copies. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to order, a number of copies so that I have them in case later on, for some reason, because I touched on topical issues in this book. And so in case for some reason they think it's too topical and want to yank it or something, I will have copies here that I could, you can order direct from me, and I could sign them, and you get an autograph book for about the same price as it would cost to get from Amazon. Just more of a hassle on my part because I'd have to somehow package them. The shipping, Amazon gets such a great deal on shipping. Like, what's up with that? Which brings me to a story, which I included in my book because it was like towards the end when it happened. So, I'm brutally honest about this thing. Ever since they messed up, and I have a guy coming to do clean my furnace today, and I went downstairs just to check it out. And I usually do this bug spraying thing too, because when they did this sewage work, they shook up the sewers. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I was down there doing that because I do that every couple of weeks just to make sure I don't have any insect problems. And I noticed there was like a puddle of water on the floor. Now, that happened to be close to when we had that torrential downpour, because if you recall, the last couple of shows I did, and I even made reference to this in my book too, there was a lot of talk about, my roof leaking. All right. But anyway, so there was a puddle down there, and I'm thinking, man, that was quite a crazy storm. So maybe somehow there was some water seeped in through the basement. You have those little tiny windows in the basement. I have an underground basement, but how you have those little like small windows or whatever. So maybe some side blowing rain or something got in. It wasn't like a flood down there, but the floor was damp, and there was like a slight puddle. I would say very slight puddle. Something you'd see on a sidewalk almost. Nothing really that bad. And I kind of semi-chalked it up to that, but then I thought, well, there's a lot of pipes right above that area too. And that was a couple of weeks ago. And so I went down yesterday to just check the room out and do this thing and prepare for this guy who's going to come in and clean my furnace. It's an annual thing they do. It's a gas furnace. And I noticed that there was still like a puddle on the floor. So not only did I end up getting bugs and I have to deal with this bug issue, it's an ongoing issue, though I have it like pretty much under control, though I do see a bug here and there. And I've been putting boric acid is the thing that they say is the best for that. It seems to work. And some kind of, crustaceous earth or something. I don't know. Some weird, some name like that. It ends with earth. Anyway, and so I don't have it. I don't have like an infestation or something like that. But every other day or so, I'll see a bug or two. It's very annoying. but I keep a clean house. So anyway, so I sprayed for that, and that brings me to this story. So yeah, I have to not only keep the clean type house that I normally do, but I have to keep it extra clean now. So two things. One, this normal cleaning, which costs less than $100 for this guy to come and clean my furnace, is going to cost me several $100s because he's going to have to replace some pipes. Because obviously when they did the sewer work out there, not only did they crack my concrete stairs and different things, but they've obviously shaken the pipes enough. Like I predicted and had told people, I was worried about the gas pipes. I think the gas company should be inspecting every house on this street, because it still sounds like an earthquake every time a truck goes by. So I'm going to have this guy replace some pipes because there's obviously a leak, because that's what the water on the floor is, because it's still there after a couple of weeks, right? Well, anyway, so I ordered some of these Swiffer type of wet mop, things, because I have one of those Swiffer mop things. And I wanted to clean my floor, because my kitchen floor, the walkway floor, and plus I knew this guy's coming who's going to be down in that dirty basement where you could have bugs, and they say you tramp on bugs and you track their eggs or whatever. I know it sounds a horrible thing to talk about in the morning, but so I wanted this Swiffer stuff. So anyway, I get this notification, because you get notifications, and it says your package was delivered at 2:38 p.m. Well, 2:38 p.m. on this day, I was sitting right here typing away on my book. And it was FedEx, it said. No FedEx truck drove by, right? Nobody came to my porch. I was right here. I could see. This is a very small room, and there's like this picture window I'm pointing at on that side of me. And so I went outside. It was one of those, it was a hot day, like this last week, we've had a couple of those days where it's been like almost 80 degrees and sunny. And it was a quiet day, sunny. It was like a hot summer day when it's like everybody's just in the house or in their backyard. It's too hot to be outside. There wasn't much traffic on the street. There were no people lurking about. I'm on a main drag, across from me is like a hardware store. Next to me is a doctor's office. It's not a shady neighborhood or anything like that. And besides, it's not a matter of someone stealing the package, which would have only been this box this big. But literally, I can see they usually place it on this chair I have right next to my mailbox. And I literally can see it. Like right now, when I'm looking, I can see it. I could see the chair. And no one came. I know they didn't come. So I went out and I looked. I thought, well, maybe someone put it at the house next door or in front of the doctor's office or across the street. Nothing. So I had to go through this whole procedure of calling, getting some guy in India and all this kind of stuff. And they're going to give me some kind of like refund through a gift card or something. And it's like, I didn't want a refund. I wanted the darn Swiffer thing so I could clean up the house to keep it super clean, because I don't want bugs. And I've got a guy who's going to be going up and traipsing up and down in workman shoes in my basement back and forth to his truck, which is especially since he has to fix pipes and stuff. And I want to be able to, when he's done, mop up my floor. Okay. And keep that and get the whatever that, the funk of 40,000 years, from the pathway through my kitchen, through this room to the front door. So I'm like in this quandary, do I like after the show walk all the way down to the grocery store and buy these Swiffer things? Because, that's done deal. Well, that's part one. On the same day, from a different carrier, I was expected to receive some indoor potting soil, because it's that time of year. In fact, today's the 21st. This Wednesday, like right around, basically fall. This is fall begins, right? This is fall begins. let's just look. Let's go to the videotape. Let's see. New window here. Oh, I got to do it. I'm on. I haven't been since I don't. First day of fall 2021 is tomorrow. Okay. All right. So yeah, like I'm saying, so it's the first day of fall, and in this area, like I say, an hour away from one of the entrances to the Northern Appalachian Trail, fall starts on the on the day. And I've been looking at it, and we can do it.
The Weather Watch forecast. So
let's look at the weather. So the weather in my neck of the woods is it's 63 degrees outside my window. So it's that's not bad for an overnight early morning temperature. Today's going to get up to about 73 degrees. And if I can move this up to see the whole thing. And tomorrow we're expecting there's an 80% chance of a thunderstorm. But I've got the attic prepared. I'll get into that in a second. 72 degrees tomorrow. But starting Thursday, the daytime temperatures, it's going to be 61. Friday's going to be 66. And the overnights are going to be getting into like 48, 48, 50. So you see what I mean? This is officially fall, which means my garden is pretty much done, and I've been pulling pretty much everything out.
The Weather Watch forecast.
And that's your Weather Watch. If you happen to be in the Mid-Atlantic states. Now check this out. I decided to just bring the extra coffee. Let me move the microphone away. The coffee pot. The mug. I packed away my other morning show. Well, it's not packed. I just put it in the shelf. My morning show, car, whatever they call those things. You take the portable things. The metal thing you take your coffee or your drink in your car with, whatever they call those things. I don't know. I've been feeling semi-okay, knock on wood. And this is the first coffee I've had in 2 weeks, too. So I've kind of I haven't had a drink even. So I've been kind of detoxed. Well, I was detoxing even a little bit before because I had a couple of run-ins with with some medical things. It turned out to be it wasn't like they were common, but the description was uncommon, but nothing to worry about. It's like, some people, it's Murphy's Law type of thing. It's like some people just go through life and it's, it is what it is. And me, I've gotten these, I've had a couple of serious things. I had cancer surgery. But I mean, apart from that, which actually 1 in 3 men now have prostate cancer. Could you imagine that? I mean, that's a statistic that we should, this thing that they've decided it's going to last forever, right? Which I do touch on in my book. That's why I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I don't get into it in too much detail, but I pretty much, I put it all down. That's why, and I highly recommend you assuming that the print book gets approved in the next day or two. I've got some email here right now. Let's just see. No. Guess who's back? Let me just quit out of my email so that doesn't further eat away. I was just hoping maybe I'd get a notification. They send you an email and say, your book is approved. But yeah, 1 in 3 men, get prostate cancer. Well, that didn't happen 50 years ago, you know? So what's up with that? You know, something they're not telling us about, you know, maybe people putting these phones in their pockets or just sitting in front of your computers, and this stuff is like just, you know, I've had that thing out how many times, the electromagnetic thing. Somebody new to the show. This is called an electromagnetic radiation tester. Now I'm turning it on and I'm pointing it. And you can see that red light flashing. It means harmful radiation. Harmful. This is a lab. This is like a lab piece. And like I say, if I point it over towards here, it stops because that's just the wall, a futon. If I point it back at the computer and down towards, you know, there and over at the other computer. But if I turn it all the way over here, the window I talked about, you see it stops. When I come back to the computer, harmful radiation. Like I say, this is a scientific instrument. It's not, this isn't no toy or something, you know, some gizmo. And people wonder why, you know, cancer is the number 2 leading cause of death in the U.S. But anyway, I don't want to get on that downer. I was talking about deliveries. So that day from a different carrier, because I ordered, one of the items I ordered from Walmart and the other one I ordered from Amazon. And I'm not sure who was using FedEx and who was using the United States Postal Service. Okay? Well, on that one, I got this notification. Something, a weird wording, and they it vanished, like they took it off because I wanted to screen capture that. The other one I was able to screen capture and put in my book, but the other one they quickly got rid of. It was something to the effect of like they didn't use the word postman, but the postman was unable to deliver the item. As if like I had attack dogs on the porch or something weird like that. And again, it was this sunny, clear, quiet day. There's no cars because you can't park on this. Nobody parks where I am. All right. So you could pull up in front of my house anytime you want to. It's like all open. You could park 5 cars in a row. Right. And next to me it's a doctor's office, and there's like a throughway, kind of a throughway where you could just pull in and park right aside of my house. Right? And the postman knows this, and I get mail every day. I don't have something. In fact, yesterday I received a package from Amazon, that was, ordered with that same lot. This was, but that one was set to be delivered on Monday. And I'm like, so I had to go through customer service with that. And it was, like I say, one of them gave me a gift card as a refund, and the other one was supposedly within 3 to 5 days or something is going to refund my money. But this was indoor potting soil. And this time of year, and that's why I was talking about why I did the weather watch thing, is that this time of year, as it gets cooler, I want to bring in a couple of things. I'm growing in my little greenhouse out back. I have some lettuce and kale plants that are just about so big in a little pot. So I wanted to get some indoor clean potting soil, because you don't want to bring in soil from the outside if you're like someone who's just getting into gardening or wants to grow some stuff in your house. Because inside that dirt, there could be things that you can end up with, these little gnats and stuff like that. And believe me, you don't want those. Like I was unaware of that about 5 years ago, and I ended up having to get like fly paper and like this stuff called neem, which like helps keep. But those gnats, when they have like an egg or something, they're like tiniest things, you can't even see them, but they're there. They have like 400 400 hatchlings or whatever. So I had like two things of fly paper. If you know what fly paper is, you could still buy it. It's the old-fashioned one thing they used to use. You can still buy it, and it's cheap. You get like 4 of them for like a couple dollars or $1 or $2. Probably get it at the dollar store, Dollar Tree. But that fly paper that year was literally just coated with these tiny little gnats. And of course, some of them would get into, because the door from my porch is where I do my growing. My back porch is connected to my kitchen. So I had a fly paper in my kitchen, because you didn't want to keep out, some fresh fruit in a bowl, an apple, banana, things like that. And that, of course, a gnat, that's, right on it. So anyway, that's why I wanted to get this, good, fresh, clean, indoor, right? Right on the bag, indoor potting soil that isn't going to have any of those, anything crazy or funky in it. And so I wanted it. I really wanted this stuff. I don't want a refund. And so in both instances, and I even said it in my book, I'm accusing the post office, the postman, because it's a guy, this postal guy, and the FedEx person, whoever that was, male or female, to have lied. Because they put text delivered at 2:38 p.m., right? At front door is what it said, in front of front door. Like say, I literally can almost touch. If this microphone contraption is like a boom thing here, if this microphone contraption wasn't here, I could literally like stand up, lean over, and touch the window. That's how I've described how small this front room is, this studio space. It's like I just really use it for this kind of thing. I have a little futon over here and a TV on the wall, so if I want to relax, I could just lay down I used to. I don't do it anymore, but sometimes in the winter, I'll recline on my futon and watch. I don't have cable TV or satellite anymore, but I can get like Sky News, I'll watch like something, things that are happening around the world or something if I want to do that. And I could, there's some other, it's like cloud. I don't know what I get on there. If it's cloud TV, or I have an old Apple TV with the hockey puck thing on there. So I could watch YouTube or something weird like that on there if I just want to chill. Or if I were waiting for a package, type of thing. I'll just hang down here, So yeah, that was a joke. So I'm like, I got a puddle down in the basement, so I'm going to have to pay leaky pipes, which is an expense I don't need after just having overspent because of the attic, fiasco. Because the last time I talked to you, let me just see here, image of the day. Let me pull in one of these images. Attic plastic. Let's pull that up. Because the last time I talked, there, you could see, I don't know why then what is in front of it. Doesn't need to be there. You see how crazy this is? How would you like to live like that? See, if you go further, and these little containers I put. See, in this particular instance, I had to put plastic down. Since this, I've done a lot of work upstairs. But I had to literally put plastic down because this particular leak I can't fix because it's in such a weird part of this extreme upper portion of my roof on the right side that I have no access to it whatsoever. Now, on the other side, I have several leaks. And a friend of mine, finally, after a while, I'd been caulking in between these planks of the wood. In other words, I'm trying to repair my roof from the inside out because there's no one wants to go up there. I had a professional here. He goes, you would need a you'd have to call like the fire company or someone would have to set up some elaborate scaffold. It would cost a fortune to get up there because it's like 4 stories up the way this old Dutch colonial house is built. I talk about it in my book too. Everything's in this new book. Everything. All right? You got to get it. And I just hope to heck it gets printed. And if it doesn't, I'm just going to have to print it on my own. It's going to cost me. But one way and if I print it on my own, I'm going to have to print it digitally, which means it just won't be as, nice as a printed one, because the cost of printing the color cover would be astronomical, and I can't afford that. So I'd have to have it done on one of these digital printing machines, which are pretty decent, but they're just not, book. They're not going to be the book type of cover. But one way or another, I will publish this thing, and it should be available within the next couple of weeks. I'm hoping within the next week or so. But I put everything in that thing. So I was I'm dealing with this craziness up here, which I kind of so a friend of mine was doing some patching somewhere, and he had like a can and a half of tar. Literally like roofing tar, these little, but they were like paint size cans. And so I had been doing all this other stuff all along, but there were still leaks, and I still had all these little plastic things to catch and, catch the water and stuff. It's really ridiculous. I mean, the elaborate system I've set up there, and I've got a window, like one of those floor fans hooked up in a window. It doesn't have a screen because it's like 100-year-old window. So I had to rig this thing up, and there's a gap from where the screen is. So I have the duct tape around it so bugs and things don't get in there. I mean, it's a whole scene. And I was up there doing all this crazy stuff. I had to open another section of the wall. I even tried filling this thing with that grate stuff, the stuff that foams. And it like, goes like that. But if you get it on your hands, it's like on there. And then I got tar on me. But anyway, so I slapped this tar all over the spots that I did on this other side where I knew the leaks were coming in, and I had access with my hand to them. But this other one is way up at the top of the apex of the roof. There's no way. I would have to like cut the ceiling, the attic ceiling open into this upper attic. I mean, it's not even feasible. I mean, it would like basically compromise the structure, that kind of thing. I mean, I can't even do it. And I couldn't, and there's no guarantee I would even find it. It's I don't know. It's insanity. So for now, I just have a better version of this. It's a little more organized, and if it rains and water comes through that hole, I can literally have plastic almost right at the source diverted right into these various containers. So I don't have the possibility, and I use this foam stuff and some other various things so that literally the water's coming in and doesn't really have a chance to like sit and create and get mold and create mold. Because literally if it rains, I go up there, the day after, or Doreen, open up the window and just dump the stuff out like in some medieval, pot they would throw out into the street. You'd see in like one of those movies, old movies or something, period pieces. Coffee pot. Might as well do this. I just put it on some hot pads. It stayed warm. Yeah, but the nutmeg is one of those weird things. I remember learning somewhere, like maybe that was one of the secret ingredients in Coca-Cola was like a little bit of nutmeg, or some people put nutmeg in coffee. I mean, just ever so little. But when you're dealing with this Kona coffee blend, that's like the best coffee in the world. You know, and I have it mixed in with there was still a little bit of 100% Colombian coffee in this big can I had bought. So when you're drinking quality coffee like that, you know, this goes beyond Starbucks. You know what I mean? Kona coffee's like, makes Starbucks look like something you'd buy in a convenience store, you know, bargain basement. So you don't have to add anything to it. And you drink it black, you know? It really is flavorful. And I'm not a regular coffee drinker. I used to drink a lot of coffee years ago. But not no more. Not no more. So, anyway, that's my...
Your papers, please.
So they're still doing this. Could you believe it? You know? And, you know, and as far as people in charge, right? Here's who's in charge.
Hello. 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 Hello.
And that's who's running the corporatocracy here, the former United States. You were wondering if I was going to do that, right? So, yeah, I'm telling you, man.
Making up the rules as we go along.
Welcome back. Welcome back. It's great to be back in the saddle again, you know? So, yeah, I just been writing. So writing every day. And it's you know, it's just like doing these shows. You know, some people say, you know, because, you know, everybody takes a day off, right? But I literally wrote every single day. And there were some days I wrote 8 hours. It was a full-time job. And, you know, and that was my goal to get. Now, I didn't think I would be finished as soon as I was, but I just got on a roll. You know, now these books, you know, my books aren't really that long. You know, they're short. They're fairly short reads. You know, let's take here's like, this is book 8, the Infinity book, which basically, if you're interested in my beat poetry, this book primarily is really all about beat poetry. Though there's some in the beginning. I think I've shown you this before. See, it's mainly beat poetry, except in the very beginning, there are a couple of essays and some, you know, little of my usual stories, anecdotes, Tony Caravanisms. You could see the Then What t-shirt. So, yeah, you know, this is a full official launch coming up of this book one way or another. We've got the Then What t-shirts already for sale at TonyCaravanLive.com or ROCKFLUX.com, which is the same website. And as you can see, the hoodie on the screen, that's available. Game Over's available. Of course, the shirt, You Don't Know What You Don't Know, which every time I wear that, I've said this before, people just look at that and admire it. And I always get a good positive comments from people on that. And, of course, Everything You Know Is Wrong. And, you know, let's face the facts. You know, everything you know is wrong. I gathered a few things this morning, and let's see. Oh, this is just a little pet peeve. I'm just going to pull up a couple of items just for the hell of it. Okay. Now, I have a cat, all right? And this is Frisky's cat food, all right? Party mix, picnic crunch with chicken flavors, turkey and cheddar. Now, my cat loves this stuff, all right? And it's vanished. It's vanished. And I know somebody in another city, and I said, can you find this stuff? And no one's been able to find it, and it's not available online. You know, and they do this constantly. Very annoying. You know, and so I have like 4 bags of different kinds of those kinds of things, because that's what my cat isn't a canned cat food eater. You know, in fact, that's one of the problems why I have to keep this house super clean with bugs. And since it's like a farm, you know, my backyard's, I'm a farmer. you know, because I have to leave dry cat food out because he's a grazer. You know, he comes down a couple of times, more than a couple of times, several times during the night. And over the course of the day, he likes to just go to his bowl and just, you know, chomp on some of these crunchy type of, you know, bag cat food stuff. And, you know, of course, you got to keep a water bowl out. But, you know, bugs, that's like, you know, what are you going to do? I can't hide it. So I have to keep my house like almost sterile, you know, in order to, you know, make sure I don't have a problem because nobody wants insects. And, you know, and you don't have the freedom to just, you know, it's like every time I'm even preparing something or doing something, I have to like, you know, constantly be on, you know, I don't have that flexibility of like, oh, just relax. You know, it's like quick clean up after, you know, the moment you chop up your vegetables. And I make a damn good soup. It's like a stew and a soup, you know, with stuff from my garden. And I'll tell you, you know, it's so everything has to be like, I got to keep everything spotless and, you know, you can't, you know, just, you know, well, you know, it's just a hassle. But anyway, so in the morning, the cat likes a treat. And at the end of the day, when I'm done doing what I do, the cat is a place upstairs, a front window that's south facing in a front room I don't use anymore. The front bedroom, I sleep in the back bedroom because it's quieter. But I set up a little spot in this window, and the cat likes to sunbathe in there, you know, which is, he's a black cat, and you touch him like it, and you can almost burn your hand on him, but I guess they've got that pelt underneath that fur, and they're soaking in, I guess, their vitamins, you know, vitamin D, just like we should be. But anyway, so I like to give him a couple, you know, in the morning he expects to have a little, you know, give him a few of these treat type things. That's his breakfast treat. And then in the afternoon, I'll give him a few, you know, as his evening treat before, you know. And I've got 4 different bags upstairs and 4 different bags of these various things. All right, you know. But none of these, and I can't find these, and he just leaves them, and so I have to like clean them up, you know, because he'll go put them in his mouth and like kind of almost spit them back out. So it's like, why the amazing disappearing, you know, cat food? And, you know, a lot of people have been talking about that. You know, it's really weird. I mean, it's shocking beyond belief. You know. So, anyway, that's that.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't heard from her in a while, you know.
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing all right, man. Thanks for checking in. Appreciate it. So, here's the deal. I don't know if I'm going to be back every day like I was before. We're just going to play it by ear. I enjoy doing this. And, you know, as we get into this thing now, we've been into this for 40-some minutes. It's 5:55 a.m., 555. And that number's come up a lot lately. But who does a show at 5:55 a.m.? And one of the reasons I got rid of the morning show is Apple TV. You know, they've got their morning show. Jennifer Aniston. They've just picked up that thing they had 2 years ago. They had some kind of like morning show type of thing. You know, it was actually called Morning Show or something. And, you know, it just like vanished, I guess, because of the plague. And the morning show is a morning show. I mean, you could go to any station around the world, basically, and they've got a morning show called the morning show on KXPQ or something, or down under, the morning show down under, or whatever. In the Philippines, I'm sure there's a morning show. So it was the morning show because I was doing the morning show. But I want to get into ROCKFLUX because, this planet's in a state of flux. And I think I'm going to focus more on some of those issues. And now that this book has been purged from me, which is basically, and in this book is also a companion piece to this show. So, between Codex, back here. All right. Oh, and by the way, I've got my, and I might as well turn this thing on. There should be a light. There we go. Let there be light. You can see Codex a little bit better. I have Codex is kind of half hidden behind this jackery thing, which I sell on Great Solar stuff. Okay. And if you're not familiar with Great Solar stuff, there's a logo in the background, but here's the logo. And all these people I've been hearing stories about people, and people think, first of all, I'm demonetized I don't make any money I'm not so much demonetized, I'm officially just not monetized. Okay, so I make no money from these shows whatsoever. Okay. And these shirts, I don't print these shirts. My book that I'm talking about, I don't, in other words, unless I have to go and get it printed, I'm dealing through third parties. Okay. So I might get a commission if you buy a hoodie or if you buy one of these t-shirts like I'm wearing right now. But the commissions are something even on my books, it's 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 $1 or it's under in the cents, 67 cents, $1 something or other. It's not I'm not one of these YouTube millionaire type of people. You understand? And on this Great Solar Stuff site, when I originally set this up, in fact, I was even on the other side of this, this whole climate thing and all that. And I see these people who are constantly out of power. Like right now, there are people, who have no power. And all they have to do is get one of this jackery thing that I have here, and you can get from greatsolarstuff.com, which is a site I set up, which has a link through Amazon, and I could get a commission on it. I don't know, maybe $1 or something. You help support this channel. So I could, keep doing this stuff and maybe get some, some improvements in my technology. But anyway, this thing back here, that obviously that is powering that light, is powering the on-air light up top. And you can plug stuff into it. And if you had, and it's the same as I have and I've shown this before, I've got one of these no weather radios, but you could charge your cell phones, you could run your laptop, you could plug in a light, fans. There's no reason for you, if the power goes out, for you to be suffering. And you can charge this thing from your car. You can get a solar panel to go with it. You could charge it from a solar panel during the day, and at nighttime you could sit around. And if people who have kids and stuff, and they get antsy when there's no power, they could be watching some kind of movie or something. So go to greatsolarstuff.com, and there's a link on ROCKFLUX.com or TonyCaravanLive.com, and consider getting some of that stuff. It's just and sometimes somebody hits a pole and the power goes out. A friend of mine called me. I'm on a roll. A friend of mine called me the other day and said that she got a notification. She lives in, doesn't live near me here in this city, or on the outskirts of this city, where I live. And she said they got a notification from their power company that their power was going to be out for 8 hours, I don't know, if it's this week or next week or whatever. They told them on a certain date because they're doing something. And it was 6 or 8 hours it was going to be out. And I'm going, well, get yourself a Jackery. Go to greatsolarstuff.com, for crying out loud. You know, you can probably get the thing, you know, if you got Amazon Prime or whatever, get the thing in a 2-day delivery. Assuming the FedEx guy or the postman doesn't lie about delivering it. But anyway, I said, get that. I said, you could run your laptop, you know, charge it the day before, because you could charge it from your home outlet too. Charge it the day before so it's 100% charge. The thing lasts really long. You know, the charge, it holds a charge, you know, unless you're like running power tools on it. And even then you could still do the job, get the job done. But I said, you know, get that and you'll have light. You could plug a light into it at the nighttime. And I said, you know, during the daytime, you can watch, you know, you can have your laptop charged. You can charge your cell phone, and you could even hook it up and watch something on, people have these Roku TVs. You know, she has a smart TV. I said, you could plug in, put a dual jack on there and plug in your modem and your smart TV, because the cable, the internet signal is going to come in either way, you know. I said, and so you could have, and I believe, I'm not sure if she does, or I don't know if they do or don't, but, you know, people have internet phone. That's what I do. I have. I said, you could plug in, you'll have phone service and be able to watch something on your Roku TV for hours. Because, see, this is this thing people don't talk about. We all have these Energy Star appliances now. You know, the average smart TV, laptops, and things like that, they're really low wattage. They don't use a lot of electricity. And it's like I said, get one of those things, you know. The low-end ones cost like about $199 or something. It depends on the wattage, how much wattage you want. You know, you could spend more money. You could spend up to $500 and get like 1,000 watts or something. I don't know, or whatever, you know. But if you just want to have power in case somebody hits a pole or the electric company decides they're going to turn your power off for a day, you know, people in California, they have these brownouts and they have these, you know, blackouts here and there, you know, or there's storms and stuff like that. It just happened. Winter's just around the corner. And I just don't know why. And that's why I set up this site and I have this stuff available. And like I said, I don't even know if I'll make $1 on it, but if I do, I'll only make $1. But you'll have security to know that whenever the power goes out, you're going to have lighting, be able to charge your smartphone, you know, use your laptop, you know, and watch something so you don't go batty, you know. And especially if you even have somebody, an older parent or a grandparent or something, you should get one as a gift for them. Because they go, you know, and you could plug in a fan. You know, you could run an electric fan, like a floor fan on one of these things, like for almost all day. So like, you know, sometimes in you know, these people, there's a power outage and they say these people die of heat exhaustion or something. Well, get one of these things and you could plug your floor fan in it, and that person could be sitting in front of the floor fan. You see what I mean? And getting a flow of air on them. I'm just saying, greatsolarstuff.com. It was set up for a reason. I'm not trying to, it's my website, but it's not my stuff, you know? So it's just something you should think about. And anyway, so I hurriedly put together a few things. I'll see what else I've got here. I'm looking now. Oh, well, this might be a good one. So this is the old greed meter, you know. And, you know, in my book, I try to talk about, you know, like, because I'm still puzzled, you know, and it's an ongoing thing. as he takes a drink from his ROCKFLUX coffee mug. The garbage truck is outside. The legendary white handkerchief, which has just been washed. You can't believe how messy my beard was this morning. It took me about 20 minutes to just get the sides. You really can't tell under this lighting. But it was it was out of control. The mustache is still a little like, why, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever had. It's still a little groucho. But anyway. But what I was trying to get at is I'm still puzzled, and we're 1 hour into this show, so it's like, do I still have that thing here? Where is it?
The now sound. Another hour.
Another hour. Man, do I have all the things.
This calls for some big scratching.
I forgot about all those. And this.
Really funny. Really funny.
Yeah. You're really funny.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
So I'm still taken aback by the idea that what is the motivation of the World Economic Forum, right? What is the motivation by these lunatics who've taken over the asylum, And, the greed meter that I have on the screen, obviously, yeah, it's about power, and greed. But this goes way beyond that because these people already are billionaires and they have the power, In other words, they're in power and they have like billions of dollars. I mean, okay, you got a private jet, you got a yacht, you have houses in, all the key, resort areas around the world. Some of you own your own private islands, right? So the greed meter's to the max. It's off the deep end if you can see that really closely. I don't want to distort it too much. See, there's normal and then there's off the deep end. You could see that. But anyway. So, what's up? I don't get it. And in my book, I get into that a little bit too. And it's worth, another reason. Like I said, I just want to keep pushing this thing. Hopefully, I will let you know, the moment it is available. And I really want you to get the print version because, it's the only... Look, I put it up on Apple Books. It's not live there yet. Kindle, apparently it's live. I reviewed it on Kindle, and I'm surprised. And they reviewed it, and I got notification this morning that, hey, your book's live on Kindle. But when I looked at it, I don't have I had a Kindle, but I gave it away. But I can view it, through a previewer, right, on the site when I uploaded it, and it looked like crap. And the Apple Books one looked even worse because I created it as a print book, but I did use a program. The funniest thing is I used Apple Pages. Oh, it was a nightmare too. It took me about 3 hours till I keep getting errors when I was uploading the file. But on the Apple Pages, this is a program, if you know Macs, it has actually under the file menu pull down, it says upload to Apple Books because I have an account, with them because I have 9 books or something like that on Apple Books. So I've been publishing these books for, it's not like my songs are on Apple Music. You could download them from iTunes. My books are available from Apple Books. and Kindle, and my other 9 books are available in print on Amazon.com, and other books and available anywhere. They're ISBN, Library of Congress, all that kind of stuff. It's the real deal, 50 songs, all that stuff. I've talked about this before. But, I looked at, there's a thing, a download, so you would think that I've created it in a program, an Apple program. There's a pull-down menu, okay, the thing's complete now, and it says publish to, and I have all the login information and all that stuff because I have an account with them. So you would imagine their software, their app, would work, in unison, in tandem, in concert with, their book, online book service. Well, when I looked at the preview, stuff was out of whack. So that's why I tell people, get the print version, because you could guarantee, people think print is dead. Oh, get a book. It's nothing like holding it in your hand. Besides, there's some things in this book where you want to make some copies of and write things down and stuff, because some of those things I've gone over about those lists you make to make decisions, get things figured out, and all that kind of stuff. That's in there, the thing I put in a couple of my books, the budgeting sheet and stuff like that. Get the print book when it comes out. Keep the fingers crossed that it does come out. So, be that as it may, that was just another thing. So yeah, it was a whirlwind getting this thing done, and it's over. So it's not over until it's over, and it'll be over when I get the email notification saying it's live and the print version's for sale. That's what we're waiting for. But back to this greed meter thing. So yeah, that's, and I talk about this in the book a little bit, not this particular thing. In fact, this would have been a good graphic to put in, but I think I put this in one of my earlier books. I know I did, actually. But yeah, but I do discuss, what is the motivation? If you have billions of dollars, I saw this thing a while ago. Somebody showed Bezos, he went up. Elon Musk SpaceX just had their successful 3-day, just regular people, astronauts, went into space for 3 days and had a successful splashdown. I watched a splashdown live. It just happened. It was just one of those things. I turned on YouTube and it happened to be that, I think I'll watch this. And, so SpaceX just had a successful week. Elon Musk, but I mean, even Elon Musk said that, considering, when Mars is closest to Earth and they have to get this craft together, that they're probably at least, he's hoping 4 years before they could send an unmanned mission to Mars. And quite frankly, I don't know if he said it because I didn't watch his personal live thing. He was live for the past 2 days, almost nonstop. He's doing something like he's pushing Bitcoin and stuff now. And but the thing about it is, I still have a sneaky feeling that robot that he's introduced, like a month ago or so, that he's probably planning to send those robots to Mars. That's my guess, in about 4 years. So any manned mission to Mars is at least, I think it's like there's some 26, I don't know if it's 26 months or something like that. It's just over 2 years, or around approximately 2 years, when the window of opportunity, when Mars is close enough for it to be, the best time to go from Earth to Mars. So if they're talking about an unmanned mission, which I'm thinking is they're going to send robots, and that's going to be freaky if he does. I hope he does that, because that would be freaky, because unlike these rovers that are up there now, to watch these robots walking on the surface of Mars. And if you haven't seen the robots that he's designed, he says the prototypes will be out next year. So it seems like everything was falling into place. So I could imagine him sending, and it would make sense, because if you want to develop a craft that's going to go and have humans on Mars, you would want to have a robot that's like a human form, and a ship that, you're not going to just send some, a ship that isn't built for humans, because you would want that. And these robots then could test to see, right? And so my guess is that, 4 years from now, if they meet their deadline, we're going to see these robots walking around on the surface of Mars. That'd be really cool. And then at the earliest, if that were successful, then 2 years later, perhaps, we might see the first humans on there. So we're looking at least 6 to 7 years before there's going to be the possibility of a human on Mars. That's a pretty long time. So, and the reason I bring that up and why I have this greed meter still here is that Bezos, who made all this money last year during the lockdown, right, and then ended up leaving the company, I guess, because he had made $60 billion. I don't know, some ridiculous. He's worth like a ridiculous amount of money. He spent a couple of $1 billion to go up just to like the edge of space, so he could be in space for something like 7 minutes, something ridiculous like that. $2 billion. He's in space for like 7 minutes, and then he comes down and it cost him like a couple $1 billion to do it. So talk about the greed meter. I mean, these people have so much money that some dude could spend $2 billion to just go up, right? I mean, there's been a guy, wasn't there some guy who like with balloons or, those kind of weather balloon type of things. I think somebody once went up to the edge of space in like a weather balloon type of thing, with a space suit on and all that stuff, if I'm not correct. And then came down, and somehow parachuted down or something like that. I forget that story, but I'm pretty sure it's something that's accurate. And I'm sure that thing, didn't cost $2 billion. At best, maybe it was $1 million project or something. But so greed isn't their motivation. They have more money. The people right now have more money. The ruling elite, the so-called ruling elite, have more money now than the ruling elite ever had in the history of the world. And as people always say, and that's adjusted for inflation and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just not even close, basically. The Fortune 500 used to be millionaires, multimillionaires. Now the Fortune 500 are billionaires. Okay? And that's over a relatively short period of time. So yeah, the greed meter. So that's puzzling. And I do address that issue a little bit in the book, talk about that kind of thing. But it's crazy, It's crazy. And by the way, the title card for today's show, which looks like it's ginormous, is Guess Who's Back? And as you can see, I'm pushing the ROCKFLUX logo. So like I said, this is going to be ROCKFLUX. That'll be the name of this show going forward. Obviously, it is a morning show. And I'll keep the morning show mug and stuff like that available. But, it's ROCKFLUX. And I'm also looking forward to this. You can see Frank Sinatra, The Punisher. This is my bar room, basically. My kitchen bar. And you can see this is a picture taken last month. And I will be reopening that bar soon. My goal is I'm going to have an Oktoberfest, cocktails, Halloween cocktails, something around Thanksgiving, and then something in December when all the holidays kind of just all jumble together, right? The festive holiday, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, right? Remember my song, the classic song, which I still have a ton of CDs here, which I'm going to just offer, excuse me, talking for an hour and 15 minutes nonstop. It's great that you can see the Then What is on my shirt. Just so you know that I have all this stuff. I'm one of the few guys that has all this swag. I mean, the guy who gets 6 viewers, which is really not real. It's not real. I think I get 6,000, 60,000. They just mess with the numbers. I mean, it has to be. You can't imagine where I am. By the way, I have a locals.com site, TonyCaravanLive.locals.com. And, I post links to these on Minds, and I even post links to these on Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that. I don't use those sites anymore, but I do post the links of the shows. Anyway, so let me just look and see if there's any other things I have here that I brought along. So the only thing I'll bring up just for the sake of it, which, will just drive people crazy. This will probably be the one that, on YouTube, sometimes when you mouse over an image, a title card, as I call them, it like animates for a second. Well, they'll probably bring this one up. I think they do that just to torture us. But we haven't seen her in a while, and I just found her. I had to restructure this whole thing. But yeah, how you doing there? How you doing there, sweetie? Yeah. Let's just soak that in a while.
Okay.
All right, enough of that. So, image of the day. Good morning. I hadn't said that. So good morning. And, this is like.
Grab another flashback from yesteryear.
And that's what this is. It's a flashback from yesteryear, which isn't really that long ago.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
So, yeah, it feels comfortable, natural. It's like I haven't been away, from it that long. So, I guess we'll do this. I just don't know if we'll do it every day, but I think I'll do it with fairly regular frequency. I just really want to get people to, I'm really proud of this thing, and like I tell you, when I write these books and all of my books, and it's the same with these shows, I do this stuff just off the cuff, on the fly. This book, I basically, like I said, I have my cat just came into the room. Maybe he'll make an appearance up here. I don't know if he will or not. But I'll move my coffee. You want to come up here and say hi to the people? Come here. Come on up. But anyway, like I said, I keep these little books, handbook type of things. And so you keep notes, and I always keep that by the bedside, And so I'm always writing notes, and I get an idea and I put it in there, and then that's how I do it. And then I had a series of the 250 of these shows this year. So the book was pretty much written in my mind, and it was just a matter of getting down and going crazy and just putting in those 4 to 6, on a couple of days, like a full day, 8 hours of writing. And I can type without, I learned typing in high school. I think I told that story once before. Me and another guy were the only 2 guys. It was all women, girls. In senior year in high school, we took typing, me and this other dude. We sat in the back of the room, all girls, 2 guys. But I learned typing, and it was the best thing I ever did, because I learned how to type with, I could type like this, read something, type, or just type like this without having to look down or thumb type or any of that goofy stuff. I type fast. And so I'm able to type with as I think of it, at the speed of thought. And so it's something that I take for granted sometimes, but I just, off the top of my head, trying to explain. But what I mean is to say is that, this book was also written on the fly. It's a flow of consciousness. It says that right on the bottom, if you can see it. Flow of consciousness. And that's the same with Codex. The second half of Codex, the book you can see in the background there. All right. The second half of that book is a flow of consciousness. Meaning, whereas the second half was a flow of consciousness in Codex, in this particular book, the then what, or like you could see up there. This entire book was a flow of consciousness. So I just went with the flow. And I got to a point towards the end where I thought, I just had this idea. I said, I'm going to write a horror story, a short story. And so I just did it. So I came up with a title and an idea that it would be a holiday, go around the holidays. And then the next day, I was done for the day. Turned the computer off, went upstairs, end of day. The next morning, I come down, 4 or 5 a.m., whatever. It's quiet at this time of day. Right now, it's like 6:28. It's still dark out. In fact, let's see, sunrise here I could find and check on this. Sunrise now is 7:02 a.m. So we're getting it, the last time I was on, and I was checking, it was getting, light at 6-ish. So, and I forget what it is, but I think it's November 7th, if I'm correct. I could tell you right now for sure, so you don't, I always like to be accurate with things. Yeah, daylight savings time, however, isn't until November 7th. That's when you spring ahead, fall behind. So it's going to be dark for the next month or so. It'll get darker. It's like 7:30. Right now it's like dark just around 7. I like it this way. And if I'm going to go for a walk, which I may do to get my Swiffer mop things that they lied about delivering, but gave me a refund on. But still, I didn't want the refund. I wanted the things. But if I go for a walk, I like walking when it's dark. Just it's quiet. And I like doing these shows, and I like writing at this time. It's that, everybody's asleep. Nobody gets up at 4 a.m. unless people have some kind of weird job. I think there's a hospital shift that might get off at 3 or some weird shift. But, you hear occasional cars, or like today we heard the garbage truck. But other than that, it's quiet. And so you could focus on whatever you're doing and not have interruptions. And that's why I like doing these shows so early. But that's how I did it. And so I just got through it. And what I was trying to say is talking about the flow of consciousness is that every day before I would start to write, I would read over the previous day's pages. So if I wrote 10 pages the day before, okay. And then I would find the inevitable things like 2 thes in a row, or an it's that should have been it's, IT apostrophe S, or it should have been ITS, those kinds of things. But you're still victim to the computer's algorithms, spell checking, stylistic things. So the computer kind of screws things up sometimes, and sometimes the algorithms decide on their own that they're going to change something. And I don't like that at all. So like in all my books and all my shows, but in my books, and like I said, even in some of my songs, because I just do those on the fly too, but in my books, yeah, you're liable to find some, I wouldn't call them typos, but you're liable to find some, some things that just, if I was going through a professional, major publishing house and had an editor, personal editor and things like that, but there's things that will have slipped through, but it's authentic, it's for real, and it's a flow of consciousness, and it just happened. And for the most part, as far as I know, I would say, 99% of the book, by me going through the previous day, pages, and I discovered things and made changes and adjusted. But, yeah, I think it works. I just hope that in the end, when I was having problems uploading it and getting it, that there's no areas where a paragraph is suddenly missing because it's covered by an image or something. I'm telling you, the technology today is not as good as it was 20 years ago. And people look at that and they go, you're crazy, The computers are fantastic. Do you see? Look at the new iPhone. Look at this. Look at that. Look at all these great apps. You can't say that to a guy like me. Because I've been in graphics since I was a kid. Excuse me. I'm the son of a printer, right? I'm the son of the son, of a son of a printer. In other words, my printing graphics heritage goes back to like almost the turn of the last century. All right. I was working in a print shop when I was a kid doing menial tasks, but I grew up, in a printing family. And I basically, when I started out and throughout different parts of my life and in my travels, I've always been involved. If I haven't been involved in graphics in some way, shape, or form, I utilize the skills of graphics. Even when I got into things like radio and other areas, I drew on those to create, things for that particular position I had or whatever. And so I know, I had the first Mac. In fact, you can't see it. It's actually, see where my head is? Let's see if I can do this thing here. Let me grab this. This is another thing you could get on Great Solar Stuff, which I've shown 1,000 different times.
Yesterday's low temperature of 59 degrees occurred at 6:30 a.m.
This is the weather radio that's also the AM radio that has this solar panel on it, a reading light. Look how bright. But if I turn this, let's see, if I move myself out of the way, you see the Mac, you see that kind of cream colored thing back there? All right, that's the original Mac Classic. Ooh. Anyway, this thing is solar chargeable, and it also has USB ports on it. So in an emergency, you not only can listen to AM, FM, and get the weather radio and the emergency radio broadcast, charge it in the sun, have a flashlight, but emergency charge your cell phone, your smartphone. Now, imagine, and this thing costs like about $35, and it's available at like greatsolarstuff.com. And why don't people get that? thing like that. Right? And instead, all I see these news stories of tragedy. These people are without power. And I'm going, look, here's two devices that in tandem would basically make your life, bearable through a power out situation. You could listen to the radio. You would have use this one as your flashlight and reading light. Okay. I mean, that holds a charge for a very long time and is rechargeable by just putting it in the window during the daytime, And you can use this to plug in your basic appliances and things like that. All for like I say, if you get the base model of this thing, I think it's like $200, $199 is a retail or something. So for like 200, with tax and whatever, $250 or less, which everybody's got on a credit card or should. Don't max out your credit cards, man. You can survive any kind of disaster, because the thing is, these are rechargeable, solar rechargeable and stuff. So it's like if the power outage is for 2 weeks, well, you're going to have power for 2 weeks. You see? Well, your neighbors, and then that's on top of the fact that, you should probably have a couple of candles around the house, go to the Dollar Tree and get some dollar candles, keep a few of those in the cupboard. Oh, and there's another thing, and I mentioned it in my book just in passing. I'll give you a few things. Is that, when the power goes out, you got most people have a backyard grill or in their garage, somewhere they have one of those hibachis, people that even have just little patios have those hibachi things, they're just tiny little things like this big. If you don't have one, you should get one because you could go to one of these Dollar Generals or something and probably pick one up for $10 or something. But at least, if you don't have a backyard or a deck with a grill, get yourself one of those hibachi things at least. And the thing is, they're not just for cooking hamburgers and hot dogs for some cookout. You could put a pot on there with water, boil water, and you can make yourself soup, pasta, you could put a frying pan on there and cook yourself, stuff that's in the freezer that's going to go bad if the power's out. You could cook, that meats or whatever, or frozen vegetables, or whatever, instead of it going to waste. A lot of people don't think about that. They're like, oh, I can't, what am I going to do? And I'm going like, chances are you have a backyard grill or one of those stupid hibachi type of things, and you're thinking, oh, well, I don't have hamburgers or hot dogs. It's like you can cook more than hamburgers or steaks, You can put a pot on there and boil water. So keep a thing of charcoal, unless you have a gas grill. Keep a thing of charcoal, or if you have a gas grill, then you're in business because who cares if the power's out. But don't just think all you can cook on those things is a steak, a hot dog, or a hamburger, or whatever. You could put a pot on there and boil water and make soup and stuff. Just make sure that if you have a handle that's made of like wood or something like that thing's, on the edge, so it's not going to burn, maybe put some aluminum foil around it or something like that. I don't know. But I mean, just be careful. I use cast iron, pans so that the whole thing, and the same with my pots, are all metal. I have an all metal, a stainless steel pot that I make my soups in, and I have a cast iron, one of those black things, which is the best thing to cook with. That's all metal, so I don't have that problem. But yeah, don't use something that's got like a wooden or plastic handle or something. That would be stupid because it's gonna melt. And you don't close the lid. You're just boiling water, all right, or making a soup or whatever, stew or something like that, or cooking up something. But it's common sense. These things happen, And yet these people are out there in a panic. Oh, look at these poor people. They're starving and they have no power for 2 weeks. And I'm saying, I'm telling you here, and I'm giving you the great solar stuff and all this stuff. You know, I don't know. I didn't want that. I didn't want that. Let me just change this one. I put the I don't know why suddenly this one decided to get like a bright thing. But I'm just trying to tell you that you don't have to starve and you don't have to be without power, light, entertainment. You know, think about that. Common sense. And a couple $100, you know, is all it takes. And if you would get like my book and other books I've written where I have this, and I even have recipes, you know, you can survive and thrive while other people are like, you know, in a panic. I told that story that time, and, you know, even before I had these devices were even available, I used to always keep candles, and I had a lot of batteries. You know, I had like a battery, big giant boom box, you know, and I always kept ice. Like my freezer right now is like chock full of ice. So the idea is that, you know, if the power goes out, of course, in those days, I used to do a lot of beer drinking. But if the power went out, and it was the boom box had a cassette player in it, and I had a lot of party tapes, you know, party mixes. Party went out, I put on, nighttime came, I put on some candles, had the boom box with the D-size batteries, you know, that last forever. You know, the thing took like something like 8 D-size batteries. I forget what it was. And I'm listening to like my party mix loud. I've got candles on, and I took the ice out of the freezer, put it in a cooler I had, and filled it with a case of beer. And I was sitting around. Of course, I used to smoke cigarettes in those days too. I'm sitting there smoking and drinking, listening to my party mix tapes with lights in. And I walk outside of my apartment, and I look, and the whole town is like dark as anything. And there's this light and music emanating from my apartment, well, you know, and which must have been blowing the minds of people, because from the outside, it wasn't like the flickering of candles. It just looked like light. Like, how does that guy have power? You know, music and light. But it's the same thing now. Just more, and it's just tech, you know? So, and, you know, and I also talk about, and I've talked about in all my books and on these shows, about living healthy. Now, a friend, and mentioned this in my book, and hopefully, you know, a friend of mine got the, you know, the thing in the arm, 2 of them, you know, the full thing, and still came down with it a couple of weeks ago. And she was here before, so she was here before she was on a trip. She stopped by on the way because she was heading east or something like that. And she stopped by here. So she had it, because when she reached her destination, which was about 4 or 5 hours away or something like that, she came down with it really bad. So it means when she was here visiting me, she was basically had it and was shedding it. Because, I mean, she developed the symptoms that day. Okay? Now, I never got it. And then a couple weeks, when she came back, well, a couple weeks, you know, but before the 14 days, so to speak, or whatever, she came down again and gave me a ride because I needed to get some stuff from like the Dollar Tree. And I was around her. And quite frankly, I was a little bit, you know, a little nervous about it, you know, but I was almost, you know, not so nervous, because I wanted to see if I really did have an immunity to it, you know, Because see, I've been in these like med vans because I had some medical stuff. So I've been around, areas, and I was in the ERs, when I had these two problems it was about a month or two ago, two different occasions. And I've been in and out of the doctor's office, and I go to the grocery store and I just wear like a bandana. They don't require you to wear more than that. So I'm breathing in, breathing out. And so, knock on wood, it seems that I have, I think I must have the antibodies, or maybe I had it and was one of those asymptomatic type of people, But the thing about it is, it could be that, or it could be the fact that I'm out in the sun every day, that there is sun. And I make it a point. Like I always say, I don't know if you can tell. I could say you can't see. But, the last person who saw me said, "Man, you got the darkest tan I've seen." And the thing about it is, yeah, I do. It just like I say, this lighting, this is like white, computer lighting that just like washes out your face, because I don't have a professional setup here. There's nobody here. I'm alone, me and the cat who disappeared. I thought the cat was going to come up, but didn't. My coffee's cold now, but in fact, it's like ice cold. How does that happen? Right? How does it get like, it's like colder than room temperature? Isn't that weird? Is there some physics to that? I don't get it. But what I'm trying to get at is that, and it's coming to an end for me, so now I have to be more cautious. But every day, we've had a good summer for sun. And even though every day hasn't been sunny all day long, it's like the thing with me is I do that, I'm like I do here in the morning.
The Weather Watch forecast.
So the moment I see that the sun's going to be out, the sun's out, or I'll look out the window and I'll notice, hey, the sun just broke out. I'll literally stop what I'm doing. Excuse me. And I'll go out in the back in my patio where the sun is like intense. And I'll lay out there on my lounge chair for about a half hour and maybe 45 minutes or so. And I'll come back in and I'll have like, sun, like rosy cheeks and stuff like that. And the next day I'm just darker, And so the past 30 days, I've been getting a lot of sun, even on what would be cloudy days for most. There's usually that certain time of day where the sunlight kind of sneaks through for a half hour or so. And when you're free, that's one of the beautiful things of being free, which I am. I'm not beholden to be somewhere in a particular time. I could say, hey, 10 o'clock, the sun's is out. I'll go out there. Excuse me. So it's hard to talk for an hour and a half nonstop. And so I get that vitamin D3. And every day I chop garlic up and I make these soups, and I do the turmeric. And in my book and books, I've put in these lists of items. And I've done it on some of my shows too. And it's like, I make it a point, and I think everyone should, because there's some crazy stuff going on right now, right? You don't know what to believe, who to believe. That's why I even had that greed meter there. It's like, it's not about greed. I don't know what the powers that be are up to, but they're up to something, right? And this thing just seems to be nonstop, never ending. And so part of me feels that, or I don't know for sure, but I mean, so I'm pushing the boosting my immune system the best as possible. And I think everyone should, no matter whether or not you do the thing or whatever, you should still boost your immune system. So unfortunately, the sun thing is no longer, as once you hit the fall, even though the sun's out there, you don't get the UVB rays are not strong enough for you to really absorb a lot of vitamin D3. And so you need to get vitamin D3. And you have to watch it through supplements. You know, I've been researching a lot on that too. And again, you do whatever you consult a nutritionist or your doctor for this. I'm just giving you an anecdotal experiences here. This isn't anything, you know. I'm just talking, you know, what I do. But the idea is, you know, it's about absorption of nutrients into your body. I see on some of these things. And again, like I say, I'm not giving you advice. I'm just telling you this is what I do. So I find that, and I think you should ask your doctor or you should ask a nutritionist and do the research and find out about absorption. Because a lot of people just take multiple vitamins and this, that, the other, or vitamin C and different things, and they think, oh, I'm doing fine. It's like, no. There's certain ways, you know, you have to make sure that you're really absorbing these things in your body. And this, in the coming weeks, as the sun loses, you know, its potency for vitamin D, you know, you need to make sure you get that vitamin D in your body. And it's the same thing. It's like with foods. And it's like I eat garlic, you know, and I say, you know, you chop the garlic, you let it sit for about 5 minutes. Broccoli is another good thing. But you don't steam your broccoli or cook your broccoli in soup, because what you're doing is you just get rid of all of the good stuff. You know, there's some remnants in there. It's not like it's not healthy for you, or you're better off to eat it, or you might get some fiber or something out of it. But what I do is when I make a soup, it's like when you use turmeric. You put turmeric in, but you got to put black pepper with the turmeric in order for it to be active, right? And so I'll make a soup, and I'm always putting turmeric and black pepper in there. And I had fresh tomatoes all summer long, but I only have about a dozen or so, maybe 2 dozen tops. I got some green ones that I'm hoping will turn. So I might have 2 dozen of them. I just pulled my carrots out yesterday. I got maybe close to a dozen carrots. And I have some potatoes in the fridge that I pulled, but I think I still have some potatoes in the ground. I could do some digging once the stuff dies off. It still might, you know, the sun's still out, things will still grow, and I have a lot of flowers out there. I'm really babbling today. But I want to end this show within the next 15 minutes or so. And the idea is that you've got to eat healthy and make sure your body is absorbing the vitamins and minerals. And you're going to have to do the research or talk to somebody who knows about that, because it's very important. Too many people. It's like I saw one person one time was talking about this. It was either a doctor or a nutritionist on a YouTube thing, and was saying that, you know, vitamins are like for wealthy people who want to literally piss away their money, meaning that it's like people that take ascorbic acid, vitamin C, right? It's basically coming out, you know, in your urine, right? So it's like wealthy people pissing away their money. And you want to make sure that if you're taking a vitamin, or if you're spending something, or if you're eating certain foods or whatever, that's getting absorbed into your body. And that's how you keep your immune system, you know, how if you want antioxidants, right? Anything to keep you healthy is another thing that people can do. So it's one thing to be prepared for, you know, winter storms or natural disasters, or just some, you know, person texting and driving who hits a pole and the power's out for a couple of hours, to be prepared with these kinds of things that I showed you before. But it's also in this crazy world with this endless thing that's out there, lurking, and it seems like look, flu season is just around the corner. So it looks like, you know, you want to be as healthy as you can be. And that's something very important. So it's one thing is, technology to keep the lights on, so to speak. But you want to keep your body as healthy as possible. So you do whatever people tell you to do. But in addition to that, like I say, a friend of mine, you know, did the thing, had the thing, and then got the thing. So it's like, you've got to boost your immune system. You have to stay healthy and in shape. And so it's, you just got to do it. And it's just something that, I can't stress enough. But, that's something, you have to look into that yourself. You've got to talk, to the right people about that. And for crying out loud, get a ROCKFLUX.com mug or a ROCKFLUX.com hoodie, or then what? We got to push this book. It's a good book. There's some neat stuff in it. I can't wait to read it. I haven't read it from, beginning to end. Because like I said, what I did was every day I would read the previous days. I would edit and read the previous day's pages, which were 5 or 10 pages. But I never went from the beginning to the end. That's why I'm saying could be a few, screw ups here or there that I missed. But it's okay. It's not going to, in my mind, it's okay because it's real. It's a flow of consciousness, and I'm dealing with this. It points out the flaws in the algorithms and the technology. I was telling somebody yesterday while I had them on speakerphone while I was like trying to upload this file, and it kept being rejected. And I'm going, why is this file being rejected? And then I would look at the file, the way it would translate into a PDF file, and images would be moved around and everything. And I'm going like, this is not what I've worked with software, graphic software 20 years ago, and making a PDF file was like gold. Once that PDF file was made, bam, you had the fonts were included in it. Everything held its place. I actually had to change the font in this thing. I put in like a January calendar because I actually wasn't sure if I was going to get this book out till the end of the year. But I'm figuring I'm giving people a chance to buy this book this last quarter, and give it for a gift, a holiday gift. And I have a little January calendar in there just as I put the kitchen sink in it. It's one of those things. It's got all kinds of stuff. But I had this really neat font, which was actually Gaudi Heavy Italic is the name of the font, right? Which is like a beautiful calendar font, from like days of yore type of thing. And even though I converted it to a PDF file, if you know what a PDF file is, everybody does by now, I think. That was one of the sticking points. It was like just converting it to, Helvetica or just Times or something. So I had to change it to a Gaudi Heavy face, but I couldn't use the Gaudi Heavy, even though I had the actual font, and that the PDF is supposed to include the font in the file. So that was just like one small thing. So I don't know. I'm hoping in the grand scheme of things, in the final analysis, everything will be in order, but there may be a few errors here or there. Can't do anything about it. But this is this kind of thing. So I'm saying everything is wrong. You don't know what you don't know, and game over. And I get into that in there too. But it's like things aren't the algorithms, AI, and all of this stuff that everybody's going over. It's like, I've got a couple of things here. Snooze for 1 hour and close that. A couple notifications. Yeah. Don't count on technology. Because it's messed up, man. And the people who are working for these tech companies, there's a lot of, I don't know what they're doing, but there's not as much focus on productivity and functionality. There's more of a focus on like the GUI, the graphical user interface, or, which is basically eye candy, right? And, even like the new iPhones and stuff, it's like, it's a better camera. Yeah, it's great. Okay, it's a camera. But do I need, and you're going to have this new OS with FaceTime. You could like watch a movie together with your friends on FaceTime, or listen to Apple Music together with a group of people on FaceTime, which is kind of them pretty much giving you a prelude that there's another lockdown coming, because, so that you can all, which is probably inevitable this fall or winter. But I mean, this isn't Steve Jobs saying, oh, one more thing. Like I still say, I'm surprised the iPhones are even still around, why they haven't moved to something beyond that. But anyway, that's that. It's good to be back, and I just wanted to.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
Get online, say hello, and, all that happy, what. So.
Good morning.
That's that. I may or may not be here tomorrow, but I will be around to give you updates, and I'll certainly let you know when the book is available. So with that, thanks for watching. Visit TonyCaravanLive.com, RockFlux.com for more links. The show is RockFlux now. Great solar stuff. Get that stuff. Support the show. I'll be here, same time, same channel. Maybe not every single day, but close to it. So thanks again for, for tuning